naturally, I'm very delighted to be able to be asked questions by you, to give you whatever answers I can think of, and to have the opportunity to talk to you and all the people we hope will see this. That's first of all. Second of all, you asked me a question: why did I stop writing novels to make movies? Third of all, that's like asking me a question: when did I die? I'm not dead yet, and I haven't stopped writing novels at all. I am finishing one now about my version of Vietnam. It's a big book. It'll be difficult to sell. And it tells the story of Vietnam from the point of view of a 10-year-old Vietnamese communist boy, the whole war, and about Ho Chi Minh and General Giap and Mao Zedong and the president and Stalin, about everyone, Russia. The idea of the book, told from this boy's head, is that all these countries, all the major countries, France, Indochina, everyone was right in going there to fight. But in the end of the book, you find out all of them were wrong, because not one of them gave a good goddamn about the people of Indochina or Vietnam. Now, that's the novel. And I explain why. Everything was selfish, and Vietnam was a big cake. And the United States and Russia and France, everyone, Japan, everyone, they wanted a piece of that cake. Yeah. Not because the cake tasted good, but the cake was near other pieces of cake, like Indonesia and Manchuria and China. You understand? All right. Yeah. That's the book. I am finishing it. I will never stop writing novels, you see. I enjoy them. And why, I guess you want to know why I went from novels into movies. Well, that was a normal thing, but novels had nothing to do with it. It was just the experience of being a newspaper reporter and coming in contact with many stories was the same as a child in a big boutique of candy, of chocolate. All the chocolate in the world to eat, and those became stories to me. So when it started with the studios asking me, one of them, the first one, MGM, they wanted to use one of the stories I wrote, murder, always murder, crime, for a movie. But they wanted me to make fiction for the ending, because it's a movie. They did not want the real story. This was years ago, MGM, and they offered me $5,000. They can use anything in a paper, but they had no ending, because it's a real murder, 2 murders. And they offered me $5,000 for a fiction ending, and I laughed. I was 17, 18 years old, and I did not like fiction. For years, I was brought up to write facts, nothing but facts. No adjectives, no words to give a feeling to the reader how I feel about you. And if you killed your mother, and I write about you, with words, I could make the people who read the paper and the jury and the judge like you or hate you. So all personal and all adjectives out. Everything like that is out. That's how I was brought up. So you see how difficult it was for me to even think of a boy meets a girl and he falls in love and her father's in trouble and the boy saves the father, then he saves the girl, and then he marries her. That's good, but I never wrote the Shirley Temple story. Then the war came in. And after the war, I wrote a story with my name. Original, the studio would not take it. I wrote number 2, they wouldn't take it. I wrote number 3, wouldn't take it. But they liked the writing. They did not like the content. Mm-hmm. We don't want to expose anything. Patriotism, police, or religion. Keep away from all that. It's very dangerous. Be good to mama, be good to animals, and to children. So I came up with the idea. Well, originally I wanted to do the story of Cassius. Cassius is a man who thought, it was his idea, to kill Julius Caesar. It's a revolution against a dictator. And he did not want to have anything to do with the Romans who wore the togas and sat around swimming pools and baths. And I said, why not? You know, it's a warm country. He said, well, you know, those men, you know. I said, no, I don't know. He says, we keep away from anything like that. Oh, you mean homosexual? What's wrong with that? No. I didn't say. He said, I didn't say it. Anyway, I gave him 4 or 5 names of assassins. That's what I'm interested in. Not the victim, but the assassin. He said, no. So then I said, how about doing the story of Robert Ford? And he said, who is he? I said, he's the man who shot Jesse James. And he jumped up. He says, that's what I want, a Western. So I made my first picture on the condition. I wrote it. I directed. Okay? Not that the pictures I wrote were badly directed, but I would have done it differently. And it doesn't mean the way I would have done it would have been right. But it would have been my way. So he said, fine, and I made the picture. 10 days. His money, independent, $104,000, 10 days. Very small crew. But the cameraman, the sound man, the makeup man, any engineer behind the damn camera, the prop man and the grip are all very professional. My luck. That's just luck. This is a real movie crew. And when the New York Times reviewed it, we opened in a big theater, Palace Theater, 10-day picture. No names. They said it's the first psychological Western. It's not. It's not. They have words. Reviewers like to use words so that the reader will think the review is very intelligent. You see, it's not difficult to review somebody else's work. But what the man didn't know when it was all over was I end the picture with Robert Ford, the man who shot and killed Jesse James in the back, his best friend, who lived with him. He is dying. And his girl runs out to the street and grabs him. And he says, the dying assassin says, I'm sorry what I done to Jesse. And the camera moves right up to him. He says, I loved him. And we go out. Now, to Robert Lippert, who financed the picture, he said, that's great. That's like John Wayne men stuff, see? But the New York Times said it is not John Wayne. It's a homosexual Western. Anyway, that's how I got in. That's how I started to make things. Anybody in Hollywood writes about different ethnic qualities. I have my own personal reason, because I've seen many movies, and I get bored with the same story where the bad men are, let's say it's a gangster story, they're Italians. They are thieves in politics, they're all Irish. They are very much, they steal in business, they're Jewish. They fool around with meetings, and they're Nazis, because right away it's militant. And that's a small part of the world. This is what I have to tell you. Into another picture I made, which you brought up, called Crimson Kimono. Now, in there, the simple story is two friends from the war, one white, one Japanese, live together. They fall in love with a white woman. They're both nice men, detectives, cops. She falls in love with the Japanese boy. Now, the head of Columbia said, okay, we go. But, this is true, wonderful man. He said, in the beginning, can't you just make a little bit where the white man is just a little bit of a son of a bitch? Ah, I said, then we are going against my idea.
To give her a reason.
Then everybody will say, he's no good, and say to the girl, yes, go to the Japanese fellow, he's good. That's no good. Now, they used to make pictures like that. David Wark Griffith
Yeah.
made Broken Blossoms.
Yeah.
Now, that's a very racist story.
You think so?
Oh, yeah! One. He has Richard Barthelmess made up as Chinese.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. All the audience know he's a white actor. He's a star.
Yeah.
So if he touches her, they don't do this. He can even kiss her. It's Richard Barthelmess, number one. She lived with her father. Every day, he had nothing to do, he hits her. Bang! Bang! Did you see the picture?
Yes.
Bang! She was a mouse, remember?
Yeah.
She came in, she was afraid. Bingo. This is his exercise because he's a fighter. Now, when she finds safety with this young Chinese fellow, then Mr. Griffith felt he was secure. He is brave. He's not brave. He was a coward. He was a coward. If the girl, of her own volition, of her own feeling, went to Richard Barthelmess, I'd buy it. But she was driven to him because of physical violence. Now, that's bad. Not only bad, that's childish. It's very childish. Now, in Crimson Kimono, the important thing was that as long as I kept the two of them level, I also have to be honest with the Japanese American. So that in the end, and the Japanese loved it in Little Tokyo, that's the neighborhood in Los Angeles, that they liked. In the end, when the girl picks him and she walks off with him, he says to the white friend of his, are we still friends? That's an important thing. And he doesn't take the hand. And he says, listen. The white man says, listen, I got angry because I was jealous. I don't care who took her. And the Japanese fellow says, bullshit. If I were white, you wouldn't feel that way. And when he leaves, I want to make sure he and him has racism. And we force it. That's the story out.